No one realizes what the Dallas Cowboys are doing, so we're going to be going through that and other stories in today's video. So make sure to like this video, and if you want more Dallas Cowboys news content like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel by hitting that red button down below. The Dallas Cowboys are in need of some depth at the cornerback position, and according to Bleacher Report's Christopher Knox, former New Orleans Saints cornerback Bradley Roby could be the answer. Knox suggests that the Cowboys must pursue Roby, who was recently released by the Saints. The Cowboys should prioritize depth at the cornerback position following season-ending injuries to key players such as Jordan Lewis and Anthony Brown last season. Knox writes, "When a quality starter like Bradley Roby is available, the Cowboys should be willing to target him." Knox proposes a 2-year, $11 million contract for Roby, who started 10 of his 13 appearances with the Saints last season, despite dealing with an ankle injury. In coverage, Roby allowed an opposing passer rating of only 79.4 last season, Knox notes. Roby also possesses inside-outside versatility, which would give Dallas another excellent insurance policy to go with Bland. Roby, who won a Super Bowl with the Denver Broncos in his second year in the league, has played in 126 games and started 60 in his career. He has 370 tackles, 11 interceptions, 5 sacks, 8 forced fumbles, and 7 fumble recoveries. While the addition of Roby would certainly bolster the Cowboys' defensive unit, it may not be an immediate priority. The team recently traded cornerback Kelvin Joseph for Noah Igbinoghene, a former first-round pick, and already has Lewis, Stephon Gilmore, Darren Bland, and Trayvon Diggs on the roster. However, as Knox points out, injuries can quickly change a team's depth chart. After losing both Lewis and Anthony Brown to injuries last season, however, Dallas should know just how valuable depth can be, he writes. Overall, adding Roby to the mix would provide the Cowboys with some much-needed depth and versatility at the cornerback position. While it may not be a pressing need at the moment, it's certainly a move worth considering for Dallas. Dallas Cowboys owner and general manager Jerry Jones seemingly responded to those who ripped him for acquiring quarterback Trey Lance from the San Francisco 49ers for a 2024 fourth-round draft pick late last month. "The way we're structured gets a lot of criticism. Unquestionably it does," Jones explained during a Tuesday appearance on sports radio station 105.3 The Fan, per Michael David Smith of Pro Football Talk. "But it lets us do a trade like we did the other day on Lance because I didn't have to fool around. I can make that trade in 5 minutes. I didn't have to visit with anybody about what type of player he is, so I was able to make the call. I don't have to talk to anybody about that." As shared by Sharian Williams of Pro Football Talk, Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy did not hide last week that he was not involved in the actual business component of the trade for Lance. McCarthy added at that time he was involved in the evaluation of the 2021 first-round draft choice, who had been relegated to third on San Francisco's depth chart shortly before he landed in Dallas. Detroit Lions general manager Brad Holmes and Baltimore Ravens general manager Eric DeCosta both insisted ahead of the weekend they did not actively pursue Lance in August. Jones has since been accused of overpaying for the 23-year-old but sounds unbothered about such takes. "You're continually prepared to catch an opportunity," Jones added during the radio interview. "If you had to think long or hard or have a committee meeting over something like that, that thing's gone. You missed it. So many things are like that. So we don't have that internal 3-man, 4-man checkoff through the organization." Lance will now spend at least some of the upcoming season learning McCarthy's offense while sitting beneath starter Dak Prescott and primary backup Cooper Rush on Dallas's depth chart. Prescott's future with the organization beyond the 2023 campaign is unclear until further notice, meaning Lance could become an inexpensive lottery ticket for Jones as soon as next summer. Dallas Cowboys kicker Brandon Aubrey is confident heading into this season as the team's only kicker on the roster. He talked exclusively with PFN about his mindset ahead of the team's first regular season game against the New York Giants. Dallas Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy spoke about Aubrey early in the week, saying he isn't worried about his ability. "I don't worry about his ability. He's clearly passed that test. He's high in that area. He just needs opportunity. I get to watch him work every day. I've been very impressed by Brandon," said McCarthy. A moment of opportunity for Aubrey that McCarthy mentioned was allowing him to go for 2 59-yard field goals during the team's final preseason game against the Las Vegas Raiders. Aubrey made one of the 2 attempts. When discussing the attempt he nailed during the game, Aubrey said he put more pressure on himself to fix his mistake of missing the first attempt by pulling the ball slightly. It felt like I had proven myself that I can do just about anything they need me to do on the field, said Aubrey. During training camp and the preseason, Aubrey expressed that his most significant lesson was to believe in himself and that he can be that guy for the Cowboys, putting the ball through the uprights, even when the pressure is high. As for how he is preparing for Sunday's game, he says his mindset stays the same as it has been, and the preparation doesn't change. He said each practice for him is like a game with 5 reps, which should simulate a game day scenario no matter how many times he is needed during the actual contest. Every day as a kicker, you're fighting to prove that you're still the guy. So each and every day, whether that's training camp, practices, a preseason game, or a regular season week of preparation, it's all the same. You prepare the same way and hopefully you get the same results, said Aubrey. Aubrey wants to ensure that his success is measured by focusing on the process and not taking his opportunity for granted. Brian Anger and Trent Sieg have taken Aubrey under their wings to help him learn from their past experiences. They know the things I should be doing and the things I shouldn't be doing. They've seen successful kickers, and they can help me emulate what they've done and not reinvent the wheel, just emulate the success they've seen, said Aubrey. Aubrey comes from the USFL with the Birmingham Stallions. The Stallions' special teams coach is Chris Boniel, who has a history with the Cowboys as both a player and a coach. The 28-year-old says Boniel has been someone who gives him advice and keeps him on track with his mentorship. Other names he mentioned as former NFL vets and mentors for him are John Carney and Nick Novak. Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys open the 2023 NFL season under the lights on Sunday Night Football against the New York Giants. Prescott has a real opportunity to extend a current streak and join exclusive company with a victory in Week 1, because Prescott has led the Cowboys to 9 consecutive victories over the Giants. Overall, Dallas is 10-2 versus New York when Prescott starts, as the Cowboys have enjoyed a strong amount of success in the division during that span. With a win on Sunday night, Prescott would extend his winning streak against the NFC East rival to 10. Doing so would put Prescott in company with Cowboys legend Roger Staubach. Currently, Staubach holds the longest winning streak versus the New York Giants since 1950, according to Elias Sports data. Prescott will have to pull out a win on the road in order to tie the Hall of Fame signal caller, which is obviously doable. Dallas went into New York and knocked off the Giants early last season with Cooper Rush behind center while Prescott was sidelined. Then the Cowboys beat the Giants again on Thanksgiving Day behind 2 touchdown passes from Prescott in an 8-point win. As it stands, the Cowboys are a 3-point favorite over the Giants for Sunday night's rivalry showdown in the Big Apple. Dallas will get to show off its newest additions in wide receiver Brandon Cooks and Stephon Gilmore right out of the gate. A win would put Prescott in an exclusive club. But more than that, a road victory over a division foe would help set the tone for the kind of season that the Dallas Cowboys are expecting to have in 2023. Cowboys fans are focused squarely on the 2023 season, but the team's front office is already making concrete plans for 2024 and beyond. That process will include the jettisoning of several big-name veterans. It might be painful for fans in Dallas, but it's a vital step for the franchise to take if they want to maintain solid salary cap management. Things could change if any of the 3 players on this list exceed expectations, but the odds favor each star playing their football elsewhere in 2024. That doesn't mean they won't play a ton of meaningful snaps this year for head coach Mike McCarthy, but it does mean that each player will be replaced by a lower-cost guy in a matter of months. Kearse is a decent starting safety, but his play doesn't stand out for the Cowboys' secondary. That makes him a solid cap casualty given his current salary of just over $5.8 million. Things might be different if Kearse played cornerback. The current NFL landscape doesn't see safeties getting big-money contracts unless they are bona fide difference makers. Kearse is a solid player, but it would be a stretch to name him as a difference maker. Instead, look for the Cowboys to spend a modest draft pick next year to find a starter with a little more big play ability. Unfortunately for Kearse, he is unlikely to even be a starter for Dallas this season, as Donovan Wilson is currently ahead of him on the depth chart. He's picked a bad time to lose his starting job. He'll enter free agency looking for a big money deal, but the Cowboys won't be the team to give it to him. Gilmore is another Dallas player who doesn't have a long-term future in defensive coordinator Dan Quinn's defense. Father Time is going to cost Gilmore the chance to play another season for the Cowboys. The veteran defensive back's current contract structure is a clear sign that he isn't a meaningful part of the team's future. The front office is giving the former All-Pro over $9 million, but they were not willing to give him anything longer than a one-year deal. They want him to be a high-level starter this year, but they are wise not to hand out a multi-year contract to a corner heading into his age 33 season. Much of Gilmore's future will be determined by how he plays this season. If he maintains his level of play as an above-average starter as either an outside or nickel corner, then he will enjoy a nice market in free agency. The Cowboys might be willing to offer him another incentive-laden one-year contract, but it's likely Gilmore can get more guaranteed money elsewhere in that scenario. The other possibility is that Gilmore loses another step or two and no longer functions as even an average starter. It's not impossible to envision a scenario where he falls off to the point that he's unplayable for a team with legitimate Super Bowl aspirations next year.